ahead and start our discussion if you don't mind. Brett and Marie, if you'll unmute and get ready. There's Catherine Ross. Good to see you, Catherine. Welcome today. My question for you is, I see over your head, I see a sign on the wall that says one call equals $9,751. And I have been intrigued by that sign ever since we logged on to Zoom today. So tell me what that means. One call equals $9,751.
So we didn't actually know what that was, or we didn't even have that number until we started coaching with Tammy. And so, but after I think the first 2 years,
it was 2 years average.
2 years in, yeah, it was a 2-year average of us starting with coaching and tracking everything. We found that based on the number of leads that we have coming in, the number of deals that we close, the metrics turn out that one call is worth $9,751. So we pick up the phone to dial a lead or a consumer or whoever. That's potentially a call that will make us $9,751.
I don't know about you, Patricia Baker, but if I knew I was going to make $9,751 every time I made a phone call, I would make a lot more phone calls than I actually make today. Now, I want to go ahead and disclose that if you want somebody to teach you the top 50 program, it's not me. Because the reality is, Tammy, who is on with us, who is a workman coach, and she's also my girlfriend, pushes me all the time to work my top 50 program. And so far, I have a top 17, and I've called 4 of the 17 this year. So I'm not doing great so far, but I've already done business with one of the 4. But the people we have on, we have Marie McManus. Say hello to everybody, Marie.
Hi.
She's from the Hearts to Home team in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and we've got Brett Friesen, and they are team leaders, co-team leaders of the Hearts to Home team in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Tell everybody just a little bit about yourself and your business, and if you don't mind, post in the chat or say it, and April can post it in the chat, your contact information. So if anybody's got some referrals, they can send them to you in Tulsa.
Yeah, so I'll introduce myself while Marie types in our contact information. My name is Brett Friesen. I'm a local Tulsa native, born and raised, been in real estate for almost 12 years. It ages me just a tad. And I have been with Marie. Marie and I partnered up we started competing heavily in 2019, started coaching in 2020, and we have seen a between 35 and 45% year-over-year growth rate since then. So we are loving our workman coach, Miss Tammy over here. She's amazing. In our lives.
Is that right?
I love that. Marie, anything you want to add? There's the information right there. There's phone numbers. So if you want them, go get them out of the chat, copy them and paste them, and you'll have them forever.
Yes. So I am a transplant. I am not a local Tulsian. I started my real estate business in 2018. My entire family relocated, and I had left a 16-year career in banking and started entirely over. And so met Brett at the end of 2018 and started, like you said, competing in 2019. And then we're the couple that does everything together, but not everything.
We're separately together.
Separately together. I like the way you said. Did you guys rehearse that? Do that again. Say separately together. Let me see
separately
it.
Together.
Oh, yeah, they've rehearsed that a time or two.
We've used it a lot.
I like that. So hang on a second. I'm going to share my screen real quick just to share some little business stuff that we probably need to get out of the way. Hang on one second here. Let me start my presentation. Can everybody see my screen? All right, the title is 370,506 Reasons to Reignite Your Top 50. Chris Winstead, I would ask you to guess what the 370,506 represents.
Dollars.
And it is the amount of gross commission income that Brett and Marie earned specifically from their top 50 program in 2023, which is totally amazing. I can't even remember what the heck year we're on. Make sure if you have any questions, feel free to interrupt, post them in the chat. April, if you will monitor those to make sure that I don't miss anything. I'd love to get those answered. And I want to encourage you, if Brett or Marie or Tammy or I say something that doesn't make sense to you or something you've tried in the past but it doesn't work, don't be shy. Just interrupt us and tell us what it is, because we want to deal with the real problems and we want to help people be able to figure out how to do more business. Now, I want to see how many people are actually on and paying attention. I've got a little Slido survey. I was nervous to do this, Brett and Marie, because I've done it 2 times in the last week and it didn't work either time, but I finally figured out it was the user error. So take your camera, scan the QR code, or go to slido.com and enter that poll number. And I want you all to vote. Should you produce more business from your sphere of influence and past clients? Yes or no? Everybody go vote. And that means in your particular situation, should you be doing way more business from your past clients and your sphere of influence? Everybody go vote. It's still 21 people have voted and it is 100% yes. 24 people have voted. It's 100% yes. Somebody's got to say no. Somebody's got to be thinking, man, I'm the best at working my sphere and past clients of anybody in the world.
I mean, technically, I could be almost 50-50 on it, but I know the answer rightly is yes, because I'm supposed to be talking about it today.
It is probably already true. 43 people have voted, and everybody says I should do more business with my sphere of influence and my past clients. Now we're up to 45 and still 100% yeses. Now, I want to ask you something. I don't know. Raise your hand if you have heard of the commission settlement that has taken place in real estate. Just raise your hand. Patricia, you heard it. You heard it, just a little whisper about it. Rhonda, you heard it. I want you guys to think about something, and I'm not laughing. I've laughed, by the way, sometimes, so I do not cry. It's very helpful for me to laugh so I don't cry. But the reality is there's a lot of changes that are going to be happening in the real estate world over the next 6 months or next year. A lot of things we're going to have to get accustomed to. And how many of you work online leads? Raise your hand if you work online leads. Okay, well, that's a good portion of the group. Do those online leads listen to you and follow your advice and your instructions the way people from your sphere of influence or your past clients do? Chris says no. Marie, you were going to say something. What were you going to say? Do the people you don't know listen to you as well as the people who do know and trust and like you already?
For the most part.
Most part, yes.
Good for you guys. Good for you guys. What I have always found is that I have way more ability to get people to take my advice if they already knew me before I started helping them on a transaction. Like, for example, in multiple offer situations, when it's somebody we've sold houses for the last 10 years, and I'm saying, hey, if you want to win in this multiple offer situation, here's what you need to do. My experience is that they tend to listen to me much, much more. And sometimes you have to go through this process of earning people's trust. I love it, Brett and Marie, that you have the ability to connect with people that you haven't met before and to do it very well and to be able to encourage them to do the right things. But it's probably not that exact same way for everybody. And my only point is, if there's going to be some confusion as to how commissions get paid, my suggestion is that we all might be a lot better off to work with more people who already know, like, and trust us, because they might be willing to pay you, even if they have to pay you out of their own pockets, because they already know you and they like you and they trust you. Patricia, I think I saw a hand raise go up. Was that on purpose? Did you want to say something? You're muted. There you go.
I have a question. It is burning in me.
Yes.
We are supposed to, we talk to somebody, we're gonna go shoot a video of a house. And they're up in Timbuktu someplace. We have to have a buyer's agreement signed by them before we go over and shoot this video. Now, who's gonna know I have one? Who's going to see it? And who the heck is watching these? I think this is a bunch of hogwash. They have nothing on this thing to watch what we're doing with these.
Yes. So if you don't mind, I want to keep any of the class action stuff separate from this.
Okay.
And all I can tell you is that you need to make sure you understand what your broker's policy is, because it's the broker in all states who has the relationship with the consumer and not necessarily the agent. So I would ask my broker how he or she wanted me to handle it, and that is exactly what I would do. So how many of you, give me a thumbs up if you've ever looked at something incorrectly, and then once you changed the way you thought about it, you started being successful at what you were doing. It happens to me all the time. I get myself convinced that I know exactly what what happens. Dan Radke, am I saying that correctly, Dan? Can you unmute Dan or no?
Hello?
It's okay,
There we
Dan.
go.
Hey, Dan. Hey, thank you, sir. Man, I appreciate you. How do you pronounce your last name?
Radke, like a rat with a key in his mouth.
Radke. I think I said it right in the first place. Can you give us all an example of something that you looked at incorrectly and then your thinking got changed on it and you started doing things differently and it was a real success for you?
Oh, Lord. Let's see.
We can come back to you. It's not, I don't want to
Let me
put you.
think about that. There's so many of them, it's hard picking one out.
Well, you and me both. You and me both. My only point is it is so easy to think you have a good sales process in place, but after a few adjustments for you to get entirely different results. And so I want to ask Brett and Marie to set up the situation at the beginning of 2023. They were at their company's national convention in Vegas. I was there. Tammy was there as well, if I remember correctly. And Marie, you heard the CEO of your company make a statement about real estate agents and who was going to be able to be successful moving forward. And it really knocked you for a loop. Would you tell the group about that?
Yeah, sure. So that year, so we were coming off the high, if you will, of the COVID market where, I mean, it almost was felt like gravy, but it wasn't. You worked harder, honestly. But the leads seemed to be easier, right? Everybody was getting free money. They could buy houses just because they could upgrade their house and really not change their payment. And so everybody just kind of considered those the easy years. And we were going back into what they were considering a more normalized market, define normal if you dare. So, and it was just saying, you know, obviously the pros are going to rise, those are fail. And all of a sudden I honestly got into a, what's it called? The syndrome. No. Well, yeah. I mean, I get those.
Imposter syndrome.
Thank you. That's the word.
Well, the only reason I remember that is because that's what you said. That's what you said. Like an imposter. I feel like a poser. Like I'm one of those people who's not going to be able to do real estate because I don't know it from the past.
Right. And so, you know, I mean, I had had success in the past. I had been successful, you know, in my banking career. And I mean, I had been in real estate up to and still continue to be, thankfully. But all of a sudden I just started doubting my own skill set and just really got in my head, and it ended up impacting my business. I wasn't converting leads like I once was. I didn't have the pipeline that I had gotten used to in January's and in December. And so all of a sudden I was just like, oh my God, am I going to be one of those that ends up going to the wayside rather than rising above the crowd?
Am I going to be a casualty? Man, have I thought that many times in my career, driving home on a Thursday afternoon when it's just been awful all day long. And I think to myself, well, it's been a good 22-year run. I guess I know how it finishes because I'm up, and that just happens to all of us. Now, Brett, you actually had some things going on in your life at that time that were outside of business and by the way, I've known you for 3 years. I've loved every interaction I've had with you, but you were not at a real high place. If you don't mind, share what you're willing to share about where you were at that particular time.
2023 was a divorce year for me. And so it was not an easy chapter of my life. But it was honestly what needed to happen, and that's why I wanted it to happen. But that comes with a lot of weight to carry and a lot of additional stress. And so to I know what we did to achieve what we did with our top 50 last year, and only having actually 9 months, we didn't overhaul our top 50 until the end of March of 2023. Into what we overhauled it into, the new system that we'll show you with Tammy. We didn't really do that until end of Q1. So to pull out what we did, considering what all was happening in our personal lives and in our heads, it feels really, really good. But it's a lot to take on when you have a lot of stuff happening in your personal life.
Yes, and I want you all to think about how many times we get overwhelmed by all the things that are happening in our personal lives or things that might be our self-doubts or some anxiety, and it just freezes us up. And I have to say, Brett and Marie, congratulations and kudos to both of you for putting your big boy britches on and going out there and doing exactly what you need to do. So real quickly, what percentage of your business in the past, Marie, was online leads versus people coming in from your top 50 or your sphere of influence? How would you estimate that?
I would say, yeah, it's 75-25.
75 online leads, 25% sphere and past clients. Brett, how about you?
Opposite.
Opposite. So 75 from sphere and past clients and 25 from online leads. Okay. So how did we get to the point, and this is for Tammy Slay, where you were willing to sort of surrender? Hey, I know the way we've done it. If you'll help us and you'll guide us in the right direction, we surrender and we'll follow the rules. Tammy, how did that happen? Because I think there was okay, Brett, you go ahead.
Yeah, no, she has plenty to say here too, but I want to say it started with, can I challenge y'all?
Yeah.
And we
she
were
was
like,
sweet about it.
but you said challenge, and we activate with that word. So we were like,
Very true.
Sure, we'll do it. What is it?
Oh, I love that. So she basically goaded you into it. I mean, like you had no choice. Tammy, tell us about the conversation you had with them when they decided they were ready to surrender and make a change and generate more business from their past clients in their sphere.
So it was over lunch at R4 at their event. And we had met earlier that morning because Marie was really struggling. Where her mind was at, she was really struggling. She was doubting. She had all these people in her ear, everybody in the industry saying, if you've not been in business for longer than so-and-so years, then you're just going to flop. You don't know what it's like to really work it. And she started really believing that. And she started worrying, I thought I was good, but I might not be so good. And then with what was going on in Brett's life, he didn't have a lot of time. He didn't have the time at that moment that he used to have in the year prior because his time was consumed also trying to still save a marriage and go to counseling and all this. So when we met for lunch, they were open, vulnerable, and they were at at a moment mentally where they're like, we have no other choices. And also we need help. And I'd already been coaching them for, a couple of years as well. And they'd been seeing this success, but there was something else on the horizon. And that's when I said, well, are you up for a challenge? And because they've been pushing me on top 50 for a while. And so, and I knew that was the answer. The answer was getting them there. And even though Brett's business, the bulk of it was from his friends, he had another level he could get to.
Of course.
And
he still has another level that
he
he
does.
can do. He still has another level. Now, I want you to raise your hand when I make this statement, and I have it on my paper here in quotes. Which one of you said, I already do that? Brett?
Was it me?
Brett, it was you. You told Tammy, hey, the top 50 program, I already do it. I already do everything I need to do. Who said it doesn't work? Was that you, Marie? It doesn't work? Because I feel better working with online leads. I think in some cases she did. She doesn't want to admit it, but one of you said it doesn't work for me, and the other one of you said, hey, I'm already doing it. Why do I need to do anything different? And I just want to throw that out there because I think pretty much everybody on this webinar today can relate to thinking that way. When I'm talking to someone and they tell me something that needs to be done, I say, well, I already do that. And the faster I say it, the less likely it is that I actually do it correctly. I might be aware of it, but I don't necessarily do it. So the first thing you got to do is you got to eliminate your limiting beliefs. In many cases, people say, Well, you know what? I don't want to bother people because I'm calling them and I'm harassing them, I'm bothering them. And Brett says, well, I'd rather text them because it works better for me. And that's my personality. And in some cases, just the way we're looking at it is not exactly right. So just a couple of little tidbits here real quick. And then I want Tammy to talk to us quickly about what she did or what she encouraged you to do to help you kind of reinvent your program. And let me share this screen here. Let me get it on the right one now. Hold on. I get off of that one. That's easier for me. It doesn't take long for me to get over my head when it comes to presentations. I can't figure out how to get the Slido thing to close, but I'll figure it out. In 2022, they produced 35 leads through their Sphere and their past clients through their top 50 program. In 2023, listen to this, 128 leads. How many of you on here today would love to produce 128 leads in a year from your top 50 program? So Tammy, talk to us about what changes you encourage them to make in the program.
The first change was they had to do it exactly the way I said. And they had to agree to that. I mean, no pushback, no lip, no.
And that was before we knew the terms.
Whoa.
You had to commit unknowing.
You got to do it exactly the way I say it. Don't leave a word out. Say exactly what I'm saying. Do exactly what I'm doing. And they had to watch some trainings going into that. That was the biggest one out of because there wasn't that many tweaks. It really, the biggest tweak was they had to stop doing it their way and they had to do it my way. And they had to agree to that because that had been the crux leading up to that point when we had talked top 50 in the years before was they still wanted to do it their way. And it worked good enough, right? But there was a whole other level for the two of them. And so the first was just to do it my way. And my way is not a difficult way. I mean, Brett and Marie, you speak in here because y'all are the stars. What did you have to do that was different than before?
I mean, the biggest thing was the touches that counted as top 50 touches. That was the biggest switch.
We eliminated the fluffy ones.
We eliminated the fluff.
So yeah, so that was the biggest change on that. And that was even a change from Tammy's OG program. That was still great. It was a phenomenal, like it's brilliant top to bottom. But it gave some ways out without actually making a touch.
Right. Like a pop by gift. That's not a touch. You didn't see them or hand them that gift and have a conversation with them. That doesn't count.
Ding door dashed.
Ding door dashed. I love that. So before you counted thinking of you cards, you counted birthday cards, you counted text messages. I'm sorry to Brett to look directly at you when I say that, but I remember you said that to Tammy. Hey, I'm communicating with my people the way they like to be communicated.
And I'll tell you how I got around that with this new method, and it still works fabulously. So anyway, go on.
Okay, good. I do want to hear that. I do want to hear that. They counted phone calls. They counted.
It does work really well. We love it a lot.
They counted communication about current transactions, anniversary card, pop by gifts, and referral.
Yeah, these all counted. They were legit. So it was easy to go through my month and go, bing, 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 bing. I did all these great things. I sent them on my thank you card.
Why don't I have more referrals?
I didn't have to. And for me, it's the fear of rejection. That's why I built my business the way that it is, which Jim from Workman was really great to point out that I did it the really hard and ass backwards way. But leave it to me. And I mean, that the thing is the fear of rejection. I'm afraid people will tell me no, or they'll say, well, I didn't want to trust you, not didn't want to trust you, but they would have come up with a reason or excuse or whatever. And I would have at the time would have taken it personally. So for me, it was easier to just kind of like, I'm sprinkling reminders, I'm here, but not actually have to ask them for the business.
Yeah, just kind of like boop, 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 boop. There's my touches. I'm good. I did it. Did you get any referrals? No, but I did it, Tammy. Okay, so Tammy, tell us, we know the list of everything that could count. Tell us about the new top 50. And these were the only touches that actually counted, meaning if you didn't do these things, you couldn't check it off as, yes, I did it for the month.
A phone call or a face-to-face meeting. So you have to, can I hear your voice? A phone call or a face-to-face meeting. It could be coffee, but there had to be a face-to-face meeting or there had to be a phone call. And they had to adhere to that in the beginning of it's a phone call or it's a face-to-face. There's no third toggle on their spreadsheet. It's this or it's that. And that's very important to establish that relationship. And you can tweak it a little bit later, but to get in the door, it had to be in the very beginning, phone call or a face-to-face. And the third, I'm going to skip ahead, Cleve, on here, is they could no longer ask for referrals. The word referral is a naughty word, and they had to lose that word. They could keep their other words that they like, but they couldn't say referral.
I love that. So what did they have to say instead?
What'd y'all have to say?
Do you know anyone looking to buy or sell real estate?
I like that. I think we said that a time or two. And then Tammy, tell us about text messages. They were allowed, but only under certain circumstances.
Yes, to schedule appointments. But to have an in-depth conversation at that time, to have an in-depth conversation over text, it's like a scapegoat or something, you know, it's just I'm a fallback or a check mark. And we all know how texting goes. When you have a conversation, you text someone, hey, I'm thinking about you. And then that person texts you immediately back. And then you don't text back for another 3 hours because you've already been distracted. And that causes wedges, and it affects the relationships. When you're trying to build a relationship, you have to have the consistency and the continuity of the back and the flow and the back and the flow. 3-second pause between a text and another text means you really didn't care how I'm doing. You just fit me in a moment. So a text is really a transactional way of delivering information, not having a real good conversation.
Yeah, let's switch gears here for just a second. That is so true. And Brett and Marie, I'll come back to you. I see Danielle Jones has a hand raised. Do you have a question you'd like to ask? Danielle Jones. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Okay, Danielle, if you have a question that you'd like to ask, feel free. Oh, here she comes.
I'm sorry, that was an accident.
Oh, that was an accident. Okay, got it. Chris Winstead has a hand raised. Chris, you got something you want to say? There you are, sir.
For the meetings, like we're doing the Popeye gift, but we actually have a conversation. Does that count? Or does it have to be like in office appointment?
Doesn't count. You're not, a pop by gift is a random quarterly touch that is meant to be a little sprinkle bonus on top, but realistically, that's not an intentional meeting. You didn't set out to let that client have a direct one-on-one meaningful conversation with you. You just so they happen to be home when you stopped by. So we don't count that.
And I'm going to tack on some back end of what Brett's saying, because he is right in what we have established for them. And that would count as a forward level. And we've not talked about relationship statuses, but that would count when you're working with someone who's in a forward relationship with you, not a top 50 relationship with you.
So there's two subjects that I'd love for you to jump in, and the three of you, Brett, Marie, and Tammy, is you had a very specific process of people being able to go from forward, and everybody when they go on the list, and you call your list not top 50, you call it your VIP list, I believe, which I totally love. But a person has to go through a process of going from forward to VIP. And then Tammy, if you'll jump into after that, you can't just put anybody on the list. You have to, they actually have to qualify to be on your list. And I believe there was 4 or 5 questions that had to be answered. So talk about forward to VIP, and then let's talk about how they qualify to get on the list.
I'll let Tammy talk about forward to VIP because I've not done it in so long now. I mean, we have that conversation now with people. We do it differently now, I should say, than we had to before. Because before our top 50 was all forward, if you think about it, and then we had to convert it to all top 50s.
Yeah.
So like that was a different process. But for us, the biggest thing that I'll touch on before Tammy says things about forward is for us, Tammy was like, I want you to go through your top 50, look at every single person, and when you get to the name, as you're scrolling through the names, and you're getting ready to call that person, and you're picking up the phone and you're going to dial them, if you have 1 second of hesitation of wanting to talk to that person, they don't belong on your top 50.
That was a huge key changer because it was, I think, easy to, especially with the other options that we had in top 50, to just add people at random, really, versus actually asking them to be an engaged part of your list. And so that was a huge takeaway of when we had to redo the training. I didn't have to, but we chose to do the retraining. Was when she said, you know, you actually want to call them, you get excited about, oh my gosh, I'm going to talk to Bob today or whoever. You're like ready to call them, like you enjoy it. If it's a moment of like, oh my God, I gotta talk, then they are not your VIP peoples.
Even
What a
if you
great-
to death, because you're not going to do it if you don't want
Yep.
to talk and interact with that person. You just won't, and you have to just
Yep.
be honest with yourself.
Yep. And when those are the only two options you have, is either get face to face with them or pick up the phone, you don't want it to be a heavyweight.
Mm-mm.
So it should be something that you're really excited to pick up the phone and be like, oh my God, I'm talking to so-and-so today.
Means we all got to get serious about the list. Tammy, before we switch over to you, Rhonda, did you have a question you wanted to ask, Rhonda Delaney?
Yes, yes. Are these touches for your top 50 every single month you touch them?
Yes.
Okay.
And the cool thing, Ron, is we're going to actually give you as a free download at the end of this session. You're going to be able to get the actual tracking sheet that Brett and Marie, not with that, it won't have their data on it, but the tracking sheet that they used, and you'll get to see how they tracked everything every single month. So Tammy, forward to VIP, and then I'd love to review all of the questions that had to be answered yes to before someone could qualify.
So forward to VIP, when putting names down on the tracker, so when they're selecting their 50 names, there's usually one of three categories where and I say categories meaning your relationship. So your relationship with this person falls in one of three categories. The first is apology. So this is someone you may not have spoken to in a very long time. Typically, an apology category is a past client that you closed on, many years ago, or even 3 years ago. You got along great, y'all really connected, and then life moved on and you have not spoken to them in a while. So that's just something has to some type of apology has to happen, and it's an easy one. It's just, hey, I've been thinking about you and I'm sorry I've let life get in the way, but you're still important to me, even though you may not have experienced your importance to me. Would love to get together for a coffee. So that's the first. The bulk of the people you select are going to be forward until you have a conversation with them. And forward is where you are building the relationship. You're building the depth of the relationship, where the relationship presents an opportunity that you can ask them to be a part of. I'm going to say top 50. Theirs is their VIP. Some people call it our ambassador program, but you're asking, you get to a point in the relationship where you ask permission to ask them a question. Do you know of anybody looking to buy or sell real estate? And so they had people on their list where their relationship was forward, and that forward relationship could be for a month. It could be for 9 months until you.
Can I interrupt for just one second? Everybody probably knows what forward is, but for those who don't, would you tell them what forward stands for?
Family, occupation, recreation, dreams.
So when they had conversations before someone had given them permission to ask if they knew anyone who wanted to buy or sell real estate, they had to either discuss family, occupation, recreation, or dreams. Okay, I love that. I love that. All right, what's next, Tammy?
Marie.
So just, if you hear Tammy talking, you hear an emphasis on the word relationship. And I can't begin to express how important that is. That is the key ingredient to Brett's and I's success. Is we don't do anything in this business that isn't relationship bound. People are more than a transaction. They're more than a paycheck. If you treat them like a paycheck and a transaction, that's exactly what you're going to get. And this is going to be very, very difficult. Relationship is key. And it's not just, oh, I'm in relationship. You actually genuinely have to care. And so that's important. That's the whole center of what we do, is we are relationship centric. And that is everything.
That's a
And I
hill.
don't want, oh, go
Yeah.
ahead, Brett.
I was saying that's a hill that we will die on.
Yep.
That is
It
so
is.
interesting because the reality is, and I don't want anybody else to admit it, there's a lot of people I think I have a relationship with who probably don't perceive that they have a relationship with me because I don't give them a lot of time. And I think the way people understand whether or not they're important to you is the amount of time that you give them. Tammy, anything else you want to add on this particular subject, going from forward to VIP?
Yeah, it is the relationship that matters. These are not leads. Yeah, so we tend to think about the word leads and prospects in real estate. These are not leads. These are your friends. These are your family members. These are people in your community. These are humans. They're not leads. And that's why it's so important that you don't just do these pot buys and these random now I love pot buys, so keep doing pot buys. But when you do those with the intention of ulterior motive of getting something, I'm not being upfront and I'm not being authentic in my relationship with you. That's why getting to that question is so important, and because it's being upfront and it's showing respect. And the question is simply, hey, I've got a very important question to ask of you. And that is, could I periodically call you up or ask you the question, hey, just curious, do you know of anybody looking to buy or sell real estate? And there's a lot of psychology into why the question works, but the relationship demands or even commands a level of respect. This is not a lead. This is not someone who raised their hand and said, call me and ask me if you know, you can provide me with the value of my home. This is your friend. And so asking that question, can I ask you that? Can I go there in our relationship? Now we have a commitment. And that commitment, the moment you have that, how easy is it, Brett and Marie, for you to ask people that question after they say, yes, you can ask me that?
Piece of
It's
cake.
easy. Most of the time, you don't even have to ask. They're
Gotta be
like, hey,
so
I got
easy.
somebody for you. I'll
Yep.
get you their name
It's
and
just
number.
like it flows really easily. And I will say, like, we invite people to our top 50. The second they finish signing their closing papers, if we love them and we want to invite them to top 50 while we're waiting for them to make copies of or to put everything on a USB drive from the closing, that's the moment we send right then our invitation to our top 50. How do you think that that's going to be perceived after they are super high and happy out of just signing for their brand new house and they're just like loving you even more than they already did, and it's closing day and everyone's just chipper and you just gave them all their presents? It's going to go very well. So we invite everyone to the top 50 at the table as soon as they're done signing.
Yeah.
Which obviously only works for new people. Doesn't work for
Yeah.
anybody that's forward, but
Yeah, this is how we add in that moving forward. And it is an evolving list, by the way. Once you're top 50, you're not always top 50. Now,
This is-
because you don't love them, but they haven't fulfilled their commitment to be on your VIP list.
Yep. Love it. And I apologize. I had some internet problems. I don't know if you can hear me, but I went away and came back. So thanks for your patience on that. So in order for them to qualify, you have to like them enough to have conversations with them. They have to give you permission to call and ask them, do you know somebody who's looking to buy or sell real estate? They have to be willing to advocate for you, and they have to hear an introduction and an explanation of the program. Is that the full list, Tammy Slay?
That's it.
And the concept of they're either an apology or a forward, and then once you have that conversation and they give you permission to ask them if they know anyone who wants to buy or sell real estate, then they're in your top 50. Now, Blanca, you raised your hand. Do you have a specific question, Blanca?
Yeah.
Yes, can you hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead, please.
So do you just ask that question just like that? Can I ask you for referrals? Or I'm sorry, I can't remember how it was.
No.
no.
Blanca,
We
be
got you.
careful.
Nope.
If you
Yeah,
use
I mean,
the word referral, we're gonna have to remove you from the session. You can't say referral. So would you do this, Brett? Would
Sorry.
you just
Brett, will you ask me to be a part of your program?
Okay.
It's
Ask
okay.
me to be your
Brett,
program.
So we're at a
Brett,
closing table.
Ask. Well, hold on a second. Just ask Blanca, if you will. Just
Oh, yeah,
ask.
ask Blanca.
ask
That's
somebody.
great. Even better.
Okay. well, Blanca, we just closed on a house. You're signing, waiting for the documents, and I'm going to officially invite you to my top 50. So, Blanca, I am so jazzed. I can't believe you got a house. I'm super excited that we got you to this point. I want to bring up something very special to me, and it's called my VIP clients. And I have a VIP referral or VIP client program. And the way that the referral program works, I keep saying referral after. I never say it, but I can't not say it here. The way the VIP program works is for just a few minutes of your time. If you, oh my God, I'm so
Okay,
today, I
good.
can't. Anyway, for just a few simple things, what we like to do for the VIP program is we want to invite you to partake. What that comes with is 4 quarterly gifts. So every year, 4 times a year, it rotates and changes every year. You're going to get 4 random gifts that just appear on your porch. Something that's important to us. It could be about a cause. It could be to raise money, whatever it might be. It's just a random gift. We also do a random or a Thanksgiving pie. So every year for Turkey Day, we're going to give out a gigantic pumpkin pie. And the only thing that we ask for that is that we would like to be okay. You be okay with us calling you once a month or meeting face to face so that we can just stay in touch with each other and also ask if you know anybody that's looking to buy or sell real estate. And I just want to add the best part about being in the VIP program is you get to see me all the time. But 2, every time you refer somebody, you get a gift at time of referral and at the time at which they close. And then you also get to come to our annual client event, which is a total blast. We do annual axe throwing event. We bring in a food truck from a local vendor. We bring in, we use a local spot here for the axe throwing event. We bring in booze and we just throw a wicked fun party every year just to say thank you to our community. So does that sound like something you might want to partake in? And that's pretty much it.
Of course.
Okay, Blanca, you're in. He's going to call you every 30 days and ask you if you know somebody who wants to buy or sell. Thank you, Brett, for doing that. Of all the people I have on webinars, you're the only one who ever uses the F word in the middle of a webinar, and I want you to know that I just love you for it. April, can you make sure you cut that out when we publish the video?
Oh, they could keep all their other words. They couldn't keep referral, but they could keep every other word.
Well, I've made a note here at the top of my notes saying, hey, we're going to have to put Brett in some remedial training program.
I made it 43 minutes, sir. That's a record.
To get that, or that's true. To get that out of his out of his brain. So one of the things that I'm here. So does somebody have to be in your past client in order to be in your top 50 program? They don't have to have closed with you. And what percentage of the people in your top 50 program or your VIP program have you done business with? And what percentage of the people do you just know, if you don't mind me asking?
I would say probably like an 80-20. 80% have closed with us before, 20% have never sold or bought with us before.
And mine's higher, just because again, I wasn't from here originally, so mine has always been more clients than people I know.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. Tammy, you got something you want to add?
I do. I want to go back to Blanca and also because I've known Brett and Marie, so I'm going to take you back a little bit of time with how they asked that question in the very beginning. Now, Brett and Marie have always been great with the community events, but they have evolved. So everything you just heard that they're doing for their clients, that has evolved over time. That wasn't even there 1 year ago when they decided to really dig into 50
or meet up.
And so when they made the agreement to do everything the way I said, it was a very simplified script. And it was just either a face-to-face or a phone call where they had to first ask the person if they had time for a very important conversation. And then they had to share with them their why for the year. And then they had
their big purpose. Oh, I love that.
Purpose for the year. And then they went into, in order to help me support that purpose, whatever that purpose is, then they go into, would you be okay if I just call you and ask you every now and then, once a month, periodically, do you know of anybody looking to buy or sell real estate? That's all I ask is, could you help me achieve this by allowing me to call you and ask you that question? And it was, and it's evolved because now they're serving a lot more people. They have a lot more closings than they had then. So now they can invite those people into these events and all these other things. But in the beginning, when the budget wasn't there, it was just a question. There was no, I'm going to give you this. All it is I need help. I'm going through a divorce. I'm going from a 2-income household to a 1-income household. I have a daughter that's getting ready to go off to college. You know, those are their stories. And in order for me to offset that additional expense, I need to up the number of people I'm serving throughout the year. And I believe if I were to just call my friends and family and ask them, hey, have you heard of anybody lately looking to buy or sell? That'll get me there.
Amazing
And-
what happens when you use the power of, hey, I need your help. In many cases, people are all about wanting to help. Brett, did you have something you wanted to add?
There's just a couple questions I want to address really fast.
Yeah.
Just because there's quite a few. Like I got a direct one that came in a minute ago. I want to answer because it's a great question.
Perfect. Thank you.
Chris, you had asked about when leaving.
Oh no, we answered him.
Did we
He
answer
came-
him?
We answered all those so far.
Okay.
We're down to
Great,
here.
love that.
Here.
Okay.
Down to John.
What does your week to week look like going to appointments? I mean, honestly, it's 2.5 calls a day if you actually connect with them on the phone, or if it's text to set an appointment. So, I mean, our week,
I
I
know mine
usually
is.
have,
It's
it's like 3
always
to
the same.
4.
It's 3 to 5.
Well, for
Yeah.
you, yeah.
But yours is always usually matching. We're
I
usually
know,
neck
I'm
and
pretty
neck.
competitive with it.
So
Um,
I know what mine is. So mine is, my weeks are
Mine is
always the
usually
same.
Thursday.
So it's 1 to 2 coffees and or happy hours Monday through Friday. Usually it's 2. I say 1 to 2 because sometimes, like right now, we are working a lot. Like we're working a lot. So I can't fit in 2, but usually it's 1 to 2 coffees or happy hours per week. And then I do a Friday night dinner with the clients. I do
Okay.
Saturday night dinner with clients, and I do Sunday brunch with clients. So that's 5 total top 50s in any given week. And what I said earlier about my loophole around having to call people is I don't want to call people. I would much rather sit down face to face and have dinner and be like, or lunch or coffee or happy, whatever it is. I just want to be face to face because I feel it's much more genuine. And to be honest with you, calling people, I have a million phone calls coming in. I'm not as engaged as if I'm sitting there with you and I'm the person that's going to put my phone upside down and I'm just going to talk to you.
Yeah.
So I don't like the phone calls for that matter. Now there are plenty of them that I do call and that's okay. But my goal is to try to get in front of 25 of my top 50 face to face for each month.
Love it. Love it. If you don't mind, let me ask a couple more questions. Let's see here. Haley wanted to know how many of your top 50 have you closed in the last year? So what'd you close? Number of transactions. It was 370,000 worth of commissions. Do you remember what the number of transactions
Yeah.
was?
48.
I think
It was
no, it was
30.
more than that. It was more than that.
You emailed it.
I emailed it to you.
To
No, it's
Tammy.
okay. I have it over here. It's fine.
Tammy, do you remember?
Well, not off the top of my head.
So Haley had asked, the best way to ask, it's always best to ask in person. If
No,
you
hold on.
can't, why are we
We've
talking? Why is it
don't
doing
know.
that? Okay, sorry, technical issue.
No, it's still happening.
Oh, yeah, you're good.
I don't know how to make it stop.
I'm bringing it up. Y'all keep talking. I got it.
They're all muted. Or we're muted. Now we're unmuted. Okay.
Okay.
No, you're good.
So it's always best to do in person if you can, because I think it's more genuine. I think, they can see the nonverbals, right?
No, it's still happening.
I got it.
Can you guys hear us?
Yes,
Yes.
we hear you fine. Yep, perfectly
You
fine.
can?
Yes.
We can't hear any of you now. So that's fun.
Oh, yeah, that'll make it a lot. That'll make it a lot easier. I'll let you work on that. Tammy, you go ahead and
I
if
don't
you
know.
can answer that question. If
So
not, I've got.
Brett's 2023
Tammy's talking to us and I have no idea what she's
closing.
saying.
I'm talking to him. He had 64 potential transactions from the number of, because someone would be referred in and they would be a buy sell. So he had 64 potential transactions that came in. 34 of those closed last year for Brett. And then Marie's had, she had 64 potential and 19 of those closed that year. Now remember, well, I say remember, but I haven't said it yet. So the potentials that come in, they don't always close the same year they came in. So it's a revolving thing. Some of them are closing right now and they're continuing to add to that potential. So that pool of people, of potentials, just continues to grow. And then as they continue to follow up, because those are leads, as they continue to follow up, the closings will Is that, so I didn't actually add that. 34 closed for Brett and 19 for Marie.
53.
53 closing, two of them. So that's not the team. That's just individually the two of them.
That's amazing. Marie, are you back? Can you hear us now?
Sorry about that.
Awesome. No, you went away, came back. That was the smartest thing to do. I was feeling bad for you. Let me share my screen real quickly. I want to do this, and I'll do it again at the very end of the presentation, but I want to make sure that everybody knows how to get the information that we've been talking about. And so we've got some different giveaways for you. Number one, we've got a document that is 25 ideas, creative ideas for creating engagement. If you're anything like me, I'm not really good at coming up with creative ways of interacting with people and stuff like that. And so that's a great list. We've also got your exact scripting that you use with your circle of influence leads. Once you get a lead from your VIP people, we talk about it. We're also going to give away your customized top 50 tracker. And in the top 50 tracker are some examples of some gifts that people would get for giving you a referral or for when the referral closes. So if you want to scan the QR code, I'll put it up again right at the very end of the session. But I want you, Brett and Marie, if you're okay changing subjects, I want you to talk about what you did to basically set up your VIP list, or you did to set up the referrals once someone on your VIP list gave you referrals.
Like teaching them how to refer?
do that. Yeah. So this is something new really that we started implementing late last year, wasn't it? Or no,
No, we
this year,
started-
January.
No, we started with group text.
Oh, yeah,
We
that's
started
what
that
I was
almost
saying.
years ago.
Yeah. So, and this is what we realized. We realized they would give us names and numbers and we would call. And it was more of a cold lead than what we would consider a warm lead. And we realized really quickly that we're really great at converting. And the reason being is because we get a warm transfer. So like when we get a Zillow lead and we pick up the phone and we're actually talking, more times than not, I would say 80% of the time we can convert them and actually get them to work with us if we get in front of them. And so we realized we needed to implement the same things. We weren't getting quite the same success ratio with our referrals that were coming in, that we needed to treat it just like a Zillow lead. So we started training our VIPs on how to actually give us a warmer lead so that we could connect with them, get in front of them right away. And that started with having them create a group text for the introduction. So it was more of a handoff, not a, hey, here's Susie's number, give her a call.
What a huge thing. And remember, for those of you who want to go get the free downloads, only place you're going to be able to get that is there, but you've given the exact script. So you have an exact text of what you send out to everybody. And I think it is so cool. And my guess is that Tammy in many ways helped you come up with this concept, but to prepare the people, to train them to do what you needed them to do so that let's call it the handoff would be successful, so that Tammy refers somebody and I'm that person. And basically she places me gently in your hands so that you can take care of me. I think that is huge.
I would say that
huge.
the group text introduction is what we call it. So we don't call it a handoff. We just call it the group chat intro.
Okay.
Right. So by doing that, like when you get the random text, like I gave someone your phone number, or so-and-so, my friend Leslie might call you later. That doesn't work. So when we started doing the group chat introduction, we started it in probably February of last year. I would say that it increased referral conversion ratio. So our top 50 connection ratio, like from the oh, I'm going to connect you to so-and-so, I would say it increased the percentage of conversion probably by about 50%.
I would say at least.
When it was group chat intro, like it's 50% more likely that they will close on a house with you if it is done via a group chat introduction.
That is huge. You made a lot of changes in the way you work top 50 programs as you at what worked your top 50 or your VIP. As you tried to make those changes, and did you have a few places where you stumbled, where you couldn't get the words out exactly right, and maybe asking somebody to do the group introduction didn't work out so great the first time or two you tried it? Talk to us about that real quickly. We've got about 4 minutes left in the session.
I mean, truly, it's, we've had a handoff, and I mean, sometimes they don't ghost you or they don't respond. So keep going in the group chat, and it's like, boy, who does this look more awkward on, them or me? So it's like, you got to stop at some point. So it's like, you tried twice, and if you don't get a response in the group chat, you just kind of let it go and then take it offline to be on your once a month touch, until our whole method and belief is that until they tell us to, we're going to keep calling them. So, yeah.
Yep.
So they go on the C list, we keep trying and move on
They
down
can't
the line.
use that word, Cleve. I told you, the only
I
word
hope
they
they don't. I hope they don't actually say that to you. I feel badly for you if people are actually saying that to you. So let me real quick.
No, they don't, but that's,
I mean, have you met us?
I'm messing
no,
with.
but the whole point is until we get the do not call again, or, the polite, we're not going to proceed.
Well, and here's the deal. This is what works for us.
Mhm.
Everything that we've given you and everything that you're going to get downloaded, that works for us. Take it and make it your own. But until you can make it your own and make it better, you need to use what we're giving you, because it will work for you right now. And you will learn as you're repeating it, you'll slowly start to morph it into something that's going to be even better for you.
Right.
And so that's kind of what our focus is like, practice it with another agent in your office, pretend to be the agent and one to be the client. Like, just practice it. And the more and more that you can say it and say it and say it, scripts and role plays, the more that you can do it, the more you can tweak it to make it more unique and more lovable for you.
Well, and the more comfortable you'll get with it, because it is awkward. And I mean, I can be very awkward, so it's nothing for my clients to be like, so, I mean, so you can play with it, you can do whatever. I mean, we've had fails. I mean, and I've had somebody like, I had a client was like, I don't talk to many people. I don't know that I can do that commitment for you. And I'm like, no, I respect that. Thank you very much for being honest about it. I still talk with them. I still meet with them on occasion. They're just not a part of the program. And that's okay.
And
I love the honesty.
Isn't it better for you just to understand these people don't have any intentions of giving me any referrals? Blanca asked, can I start with 10? I don't know that many people in the area. Can I start with 10? And I think that answer is yes. So these are some assignments for those of you who are willing to accept them. Number one, create your top 50 list or your VIP list. I love the reference to a VIP list. Not all qualify, but it's a list you'd like to qualify. If your list isn't complete, then keep adding people as you think about them. Put together your thanks for the referral gift and the closing gifts too, and then make sure you're taking action today. Let me see here. Tammy, any last things? We've got about a minute left. Any last comments you'd like to make?
Oh, I mean, I just say they have done so well. We've been coaching now 4 years, and we continue to all grow together. But Brett and Marie, one thing they are really good at is listening, and then also pushing back and being open and challenging, and not just saying, okay, and then go and not do anything. So with this kind of program, Marie said it earlier, it's about the relationships, but it's also about the consistency and the discipline. And when you put people on there that are important to you, it's not draining to have that consistency and discipline in the relationship with them. But this is not a program where you can just forget people.
And I think one thing that's important that I've had a couple people have asked us before is, how often is it evaluated? It's evaluated at the end of every quarter. So no one is ever removed from the top 50 list unless it is an end of quarter review.
Right. And they've
And I
already
love that.
done a full year.
Right.
They get a year to get us one referral. That's the commitment, is just get me one. Because if they get me one, that's a minimum of 50 leads. And you're going to get more than that. You're going to have some superstars. You're going to have some underperformers. It's like, in anything in life. But that's it. Just, do you know anybody? I'm going to ask every month. And all I ask is that you give me one. And if they aren't doing that by the end of the year, that first quarter, you're going to evaluate that to see if it stays on or not.
I love it. If you want the free downloads, the 25 creative ideas for engagement, the specific scripts for how to handle referrals when they come in, and then Brett and Marie's customized top 50 tracker, not the Workman Success System's top 50 tracker, but a customized version of that. Just scan the QR code, put in a little bit of information, and the system will send them to you right away. I know April has already posted in the chat a link for you to go get those downloads as well. I want to make sure that since this is going to be the only opportunity you'll have to get them, that anybody who wants them is able to go and get them. Brett and Marie, thank you so much for investing your valuable time in a webinar today. I appreciate how genuine you were and how real you were. And I want to give you a good, solid congratulations on your success on the program. Tammy had to jump off because she had to jump on a coaching call, but I also want to say congratulations to her. If you know there's a different place for you from a real estate business perspective, or want to get more personal work-life balance, and you want to explore coaching with Workman, just go to workmansuccess.com and click on coaching consultation, and we'll set you up. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Brett and Marie, we love you. Send all your referrals to Tulsa to Brett and Marie. Take care.
Yes,
We'll see you next
please.
month.
See
See
ya.
ya. Thanks, guys.